I've had a cycle route planned up on the Yorkshire coast for a while now, and as luck would have it, there was a perfect weather window on the horizon for once, so I packed up the bike and caught a train to the seaside town of Scarborough. A short ride through the outskirts of town would lead me on to the cinder track. This former railway line wanders north to the port town of Whitby, and at 21 miles long provides a good off-road hiking and cycling route. So I'm about 1 hour 20 minutes into the trip. Had a little bit of a disaster at the train station. On the train they give you these velcro straps to tie up your bike. They're not strong enough to hold a loaded touring bike, as I found out. Bike fell over, and the front shifter for the derailleur, there was no friction. I thought, oh, I've broken it, I'm just gonna have to get on a train and go back home. But I tightened up the hex bolt on the shifter, and friction was restored. So I set off on my way. Now the plan for this trip, or the first part of this trip, is to head all the way up to Whitby on the cinder track, which I'm on now. But I've done about about a mile on it from Scarborough, and then it was shut. And I met a chap who said, no, it's completely shut all the way up to Whitby, you've got no chance of getting on it. So I was forced to go onto a busy A road, which is just not what I wanted to do. And then I saw another sign for the cinder track. So I chanced my arm, dived down this side road, and I was able to get back on it after lifting this heavily laden touring bike up about 50 stairs, which was a bit of a ball ache, but I'm here on the cinder track, and yeah, so far so good. Weather's looking perfect, and we'll be finding a place to camp. Not yet, not really sure what time it is. I think it's only 1:25, so we've got plenty of time. So we're just approaching Ravenscar, where there's some tea rooms, open daily from 10 but closed on a Tuesday. Have a guess what day it is today. So Ravenscar is known as the town that never was. By the end of the 19th century, seaside resorts had become big business, and after the railway was built in 1885, plans were drawn up to build a seaside resort to rival Scarborough and Whitby. Roads were built and sewers were laid, and 1,500 plots were marked out and offered up for sale. Only a handful were ever sold. The project eventually failed, as the long walk to the rocky shoreline was slightly off-putting, plus the town's elevated position meant it would often feel the force of the brisk North Sea winds. It's also said that the trains would struggle to overcome the steep gradient of the newly built railway line, which is something you definitely notice as you cycle along the track. So the route took me through Robin Hood's Bay, but it didn't actually take me down into the old fishing village, which is a shame, because it's a really beautiful little town. But I visited there just a couple of months ago with Tris, so I'll drop some of the footage in from that trip. You can see Whitby over there in the distance now. So my plan for this route was to head up the cinder track to Whitby, then head along to Egton, and then down over the Roman road towards Levisham, and then down to Dalby Forest, through Cropton Woods, Dalby Forest, and then I've got a few options. I can either cycle back to Scarborough and put my bike on the train home, or I could find somewhere to camp in Dalby or Cropton and then ride back to York the next day. I do have enough provisions for 2 nights, so we'll just see how we get on. so I rolled into Whitby and checked out the castle before heading into town. The town centre was heaving with tourists, so I didn't stop to get water, which was a mistake in hindsight. Instead, I set off west towards a small woodland I'd marked on the map as a potential place to camp for the night, as the River Esk ran through it. And the hills on this section were brutal, but I eventually made it to the woodland, but the plan to camp there didn't work out. The river's running down there, but I just don't think I can get to it. Sides of this wooded valley are just too steep. That's all I've got left. Probably about maybe 350 mil. I suppose that's enough for a coffee in the morning, and I'll have to head out and look for supplies. Not much left in that bottle either, bloody hell. This is the path down to the river. I think if I can just get past this first bit, I'll be happy. Bloody hell. Could have done with a pair of trousers on for this. Whoa. Alright, the path looks a bit clearer there. Just the thought of having a nice hot real termite meal with some beef jerky in to replenish the muscles. Actually, a nice little spot to camp down here. Not too flat though. Oh bloody hell. No, I don't think I'm going to get there, am I? I think I'm going to move on. I'm just not feeling it here. Been home in an hour and now it's 6:15. I can ride for another hour and get up onto the moors. I've got a hell of a hill to climb, but once I'm up there I'm on the moors, and there's a ford so I can get some water there. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to crack on. This is a crap place to camp. I'll just drink the rest of my water and head on out. That's me out of the valley. I had to push all the way up, way too steep. So I'm up on the moors now. It's really beautiful up here. The sun's just setting over there. But yeah, that was another tough climb. I kind of want to stop because I'm pretty hungry and a little bit tired. But this is really, really nice. I'll just give you a look at the road. This is the old, is it Wheeldrake Roman road. Then over there got the sun setting. It's pretty enjoyable now that I'm on the flat. Well, the sun has just dipped down over the moors and the temperature has plummeted. I'm not too bothered actually. It was such a hot day. But the cool air, it's pretty nice. I've got one more little climb to do and then I've got a bit of a descent, I think. Hopefully I can find some water. Just praying that this is going to be the last climb of the day, even though it's so short. But, hopefully I'll find just a place to get my head down for the night. I'll pitch when it starts to get dark, out of the way. That's dinner sorted. It's a bit peaty, looks a bit suspect, but it'll do. I'll filter it and boil it. But I need to go and find somewhere to pitch the tent now. Don't think I'll get away with camping here, even though it is perfect. Too near the road though, so Just going to go and wander up this track, see what I can find. I'm struggling up another hill. Doesn't look like there's much in the way of camping. I turned round, I just see the moon popping up over the horizon there. Not really too sure if you can make it out on this GoPro camera, but wow. So I came up this forest track. There's a gate on down the bottom near where I got the water, and it's locked, so I don't think anyone's going to come up during the night. But it's Forestry Commission land. There's a track up here. It says cyclists are welcome to use the tracks, but the gate's locked and there's no way I can lift my bike over there. So this is a no-go. Well, getting into that forest at least. But I think I'm just going to camp here. I'll be up early in the morning and gone, so if anyone from the Forestry Commission is coming to work, they're going to start earliest 8 o'clock and I'll be gone, or up and ready to be gone by then. So I got out of the tent about 20 minutes ago and I was getting absolutely eaten alive by midges, so I just had to quickly pack up and get back on the road. It's 20 to 7. I had a fairly decent night's sleep. It was probably the worst place I've ever wild camped, if I'm honest. Like, the tent collapsed during the night as well because it's all this like stone track. I couldn't get any pegs in at all, so yeah. not ideal, but anyway, got through the night. Some strange noises going on around here though. The moon came up. I couldn't really capture it on my phone or on the GoPro either, but it just looked amazing. It was huge and it kind of lit the whole place up. I got up in the night to go to the toilet. I thought there was like car headlights shining on that forest gate back there. It was so bright. But yeah, dogs howling all night. There was definitely something walking along the track, possibly deer. They often stamp the feet when they're in a group, I've noticed, to warn each other, and I could hear something stamping. Ah, bloody hell. I was knackered yesterday. I've got no idea how many miles I've done. I'll try and find out and put it on the screen if I can. But it's probably not that many. It's just the nature of the terrain was really hard, It was tough going up the cinder track. And then the hills yesterday, oh man. I had to push the bike up half of them. But I'm heading back down to the Roman road now, where I'm just gonna have to fill up with water from the river. Now I'm going to start the day with a fairly steep climb. So I got to the top of the hill. I've just boiled up some water. I've got a pot of porridge and a cup of coffee. But it's been a bit of a learning curve, this trip, to be honest. I mean, that's what it was meant to be. It was like the first kind of multi-day cycle touring trip that I've ever done, apart from a ride up to the woods a few weeks back, but that doesn't count. But yeah, if I knew I was just coming out for one night, I would have left the tent at home and brought a bivvy bag. I mean, I've got loads of supplies, probably way too much. I could have left some of that at home as well, and I've got a spare t-shirt and a spare pair of socks and all that kind of stuff, and it all just adds up, doesn't it? It all adds weight to the bike. But yeah, I just wanted to see how far I could, cycle comfortably in a day. And I think yesterday what I'd done was I just didn't stop. I mean, I got to the campsite just before 8 o'clock and I was pretty much on the go for almost all of that time. I think I must have had about maybe half an hour's rest. So I think 8 hours with just half an hour's rest is a bit too much for my fitness levels, especially when you're up on the moors and you're coming up some of these hills. They are proper leg busters. Well, they're not even leg busters. You've got to get off the bike and walk. They're too steep to cycle up. Just raking through my massive food stash. I found some Eccles cakes. Forgot about these. I've just checked Google Maps. and it reckons I'm 42 miles from home, which is not a lot really. I watch lots of cycle touring videos, you know, people who cycle across the states and that kind of stuff, and they always say like 50 miles is a short day, or we'll just do a short day, 50 miles. I'm wondering how long these 42 miles are going to take me. You've got a couple of marker stones here, way markers, they're everywhere on the moors. There's another one over there. When I come up with my mountain bike, cycle around, they're dotted around everywhere. While I'm waiting for the coffee to cool down a bit, I'll give you a look at my ridiculous stash of food. I had one porridge pot this morning, so I've got another one. I mean, in my defence, I was planning to stay out for 2 nights. It's a packet of bourbons, mild cabanas, mild and smoky air-dried Polish sausage. Never leave home without it. Got some butter in a packet. That was cooked with 6 eggs at the bottom of the pan here. There's a tuna pot down there, 3 oranges for some vitamin C, and there's a packet of piadina, like Italian flatbreads. I think that is about it. Yeah, there's another real termite meal down there as well. So I think, in all honesty, I could bring with leaving most of this at home. So I went past Kirkham Priory. I thought, I might have a look in. It's run by the National Trust. Thought it might be free, since it's just a ruin and there's not much of it left. Then I saw there was an admissions board, so I went and had a look, and I thought I'll pay £2. £6.50 to look at. Basically, it's not even half a building. There's barely any of it left. So I thought, nah, get 3 pints and Wetherspoons for that type of money. Once I got out of Malton, I picked up the Walls Way cycle route, which looked pretty good. It took me along some really quiet country lanes, so I reckon this route might be one for the near future. I stopped off to have a look at the 840-year-old St Botolph's Church along the way, and before I knew it, I was rolling along the disused platform at Stamford Bridge, just outside of York. So I'm about 5 miles from York now, so I think I'll sign off before I get into the busy city centre. One thing I will do though is take some footage of York Minster, just in case you've never seen that fantastic building before, and I'll drop that in. I cycle past that most days, never get tired of it. Yes, I've really enjoyed this trip. Yeah, there's been a few mishaps, like with the gear shifter needing to be tightened when the bike fell on the train, the cinder track being shut, being forced to cycle on busy air roads, cycling up the hills, pushing the bike up the hills, my legs aching, running out of water, the tent pretty much collapsing in the night, the spooky moon stuff, and the dogs howling. And yeah, other than that, it's been a cracking trip. I've enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to the next one. But until then, as ever, thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you again soon.